Hey there, everybody. I am Angela Sharpe, and welcome to the Daily Mix. You don't know what the Daily Mix is about. I'm going to tell you everything that's going on in and around St. Louis, kind of keep you in the loop of what's going on. And there's something new. There's a new Jungle Book. Now, I didn't get to see the original Jungle Book, so if you missed that like I did, then this is just the Jungle Book to you. What they've done is they've remade the Disney classic. It was out in 1967. Now, there is one human character, an actual actor, that's Mowgli. He's going to be the only actor that is a live character. Everybody else is motion captured. Now, they have some really cool voice talent for this movie. Bill Murray, Scarlett Johansson, and most importantly, the best of all of the voices, Christopher Walken. How cool is that? It is set to debut in April 2016. So that's pretty cool. Now, Facebook, many people have wanted a dislike button for a long time, and Facebook always said no. And if you think about it, if someone dies and they write like, oh, my mom died, you're like, oh, I don't like that, but I want you to know that I read it, so you don't know what to put. Well, now they're coming up with a sympathize button, or maybe even a series of buttons for support to show, positive emotions about negative things. They said they really didn't want to do a whole dislike button because they were afraid, you put up your selfie and then a whole bunch of your friends are like, you're ugly, dislike, dislike, dislike. So they don't want to do that. They want to make it more of like a sympathize thing. So if you're worried about your selfie getting negative attention, you don't have to worry. Okay, let's get started on today's Daily Mix. All right, the Forest Park Balloon Glow and Race happened this weekend. Actually, the glow didn't happen. Well, they glue, they're just no balloons. So on Friday, it was too windy, so only really one balloon went up, and then, so you know what they do, they light the balloons on fire, and then they glow, and they're really pretty. So instead, they just had a whole bunch of baskets shooting up hot air. But don't worry, the balloon race happened on Saturday, and it was awesome. Now, usually they get between 50 and 70 balloons, but because everybody wasn't very brave, there was only 25 this year. But let me tell you, I was there with my dad, and it was still so super cool. In fact, my dad and I went and chased them like we always do. We ended up helping 2 balloons land, and we watched another balloon run into a tree. Now, a lot of times they hit the trees to kind of slow down a little bit, but this guy, that was not his intention. He actually just hit a tree. So it was really awesome and a lot of fun. Now, if you missed those balloons, you're probably really sad because balloons are awesome. Well, you don't have to be sad. Hot air balloons over Marine, Illinois. Now, that's happening this weekend. Now, Marine, Illinois is about 30 minutes east of St. Louis. It's a first year for this. They're going to have hot air balloon launches, aviation exhibits, a balloon glow. Yes, so if you missed the balloon glow, you can go there. They're going to have bounce houses, live music, food and drinks, pretty much everything you would need to have a lot of fun with your family. That's Friday from 5 to 10, Saturday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sunday they launch at 7 a.m. Hot air balloons over Marine on Facebook for more information. I definitely suggest you check it out. Balloons are awesome. Now, I know you've heard a lot about Uber in St. Louis. They've been fighting, right? Well, UberX is now in St. Louis. This past year, they were blocked by the MTC, and actually they're still blocked by the MTC. They've kind of gone rogue. They've filed a lawsuit, and they're kind of doing their own thing until the lawsuit is settled. St. Louis is actually the largest metro area without an Uber, so they said, we're going to do it anyway. Now, the St. Louis Business Journal polled, and about 82% of readers said they plan to use the service. And on Friday, when they officially started doing Uber on the road, they had 52,000 people download the app. So it's probably going to get used. Now, how cool would it be if your Uber came up and somebody famous was driving you around? Well, it happened in Chicago with Lyft. Cubs third baseman Chris Bryant, he's kind of, I know we don't want to talk about the Cubs here in St. Louis, but he's kind of an awesome superstar, a rookie. Well, he surprised fans as being an undercover Lyft driver. It's really cool. If you haven't seen the video, you should check it out. It's funny because he starts having a conversation with the people in his car. Oh, who's your, what do you like? Oh, you like baseball? You like the Cubs? Who's your favorite player? Lots and lots of people kept picking him. Had no idea he was the one driving them around. So it got me to thinking, Uber's out. Who would you want to pick you up in your Uber? Like a St. Louis celebrity. I'm going with Nelly, just because why not, right? St. Louis is actually one of 3 finalists who host the 2018 World Junior Championship. Now this is ice hockey and it's awesome, and we'll bring in all superstars in the under 20 bracket from all around. It's really cool. Now Buffalo and Pittsburgh are up against us, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna visit all 3 of these cities and make a decision by the end of the year. Now if St. Louis is selected, of course the Scott Trade Center and Family Arena will host the event. Plus it's awesome hockey, and you got to check it out. So fingers crossed we get that. They said the reason they picked St. Louis is because St. Louis is so supportive of all their sports team, Blues, Cardinals, and even the Rams. And if you're going to the first Blues preseason game, which is tomorrow, metal detectors will be used. They are now mandatory by the NHL for all arenas. And so tomorrow at the first preseason game, you'll have your first taste of what a metal detector's like there in St. Louis. I would suggest if you're coming to the game and you really want to make sure everything works smoothly, give yourself just a little extra time. You know, as with everything, it takes a little extra time for everybody to get used to their roles. And do you like the circus? Well, the circus is coming, but it's actually the Xtreme Circus. Circus Xtreme by Ringling Brothers and Bartlett Bailey. Contemporary arts, iconic circus traditions. Now they're gonna have freestyle BMX riders, acrobats, strongmen, elephants. It's all going down right there at the Scott Trade Center, October 16th through the 18th. If you want to check it out, ringling.com. And if you're really into circus, you can check out Science of the Circus. Now, it's the physics of aerial arts and dance mechanics. It's presented by professional scientists and performing artists. Also, get this, opportunities for audience participation, which is so cool. So you can stay after and actually try the aerial silks that they have there. Now that is Saturday, September 26th, but they say you have to, register. It's gonna be at Bumbleshoot Aerial Arts, which is at Gravois. So contact Circus Flora for more information. And if you wanna try out the after activities, test out your own skills, circusflora.org is where you need to go. All right, Jonathan Franzen, he returned to Webster Groves High School. He's an author, and he went to Big WG. How cool is that? Because, a lot of cool people went to the WG. And he was talking about how school shaped him. Now, if you're not familiar with him, he is the same guy who Oprah, when she had her book club, wanted to use his book, and he said, no, don't use my book, Oprah. No, Oprah. The reason he didn't want to say yes to Oprah is because he was afraid that men wouldn't read his book, since Oprah's, pretty female-driven. Now, he was promoting purity there at Webster, but what he did was he told a lot of really cool stories about Webster itself. He spoke right on what people from Webster Groves High School call the big stage, and he told a story about how his senior year, him and a couple friends tried to do this prank, where they took this tire and they used this pulley system to pull it up, and they tried to get it over the flagpole, because schools hate it when you do pranks. Well, they were unsuccessful. So a few years later, him and his same couple buddies got drunk, got a pulley system with some balloons, and were successful in getting the tire over the flagpole. So hopefully there'll be a lot more pranks coming in the Webster Groves School District. Now, do you want to picture yourself in St. Louis history? Well, you can. There's a new campaign which is wanting you to take selfies at 19 historic sites. These sites include Bellefontaine Cemetery, Campbell House Museum, Hanley House, the Scott Joplin State Historic Site, Missouri History Museum, and they have cartoon-like frames at each of these sites. Now these highlight the history museums, a walk in 1875 St. Louis. Now they encourage you to share their photos for a chance to win prizes. You can share them on Instagram using the hashtag #PictureYourselfSTL, or you can email your photo at pictureyourself@mohistory.org. Now some prizes include really cool stuff, attraction tickets, hotel stays. For all the deets, go to mohistory.org/picture. Pieology Pizzeria is coming to Missouri. It's Midwest Pie LLC. Now they're gonna have 6 openings. The first location is going to be in St. Charles, November 23rd. They're also gonna have locations in South County and Creve Coeur, all to open by February. Now, Pieology is kind of cool. You get to pick your own toppings, pick what you want on your pizza, and then someone cooks it for you right there. They employ 35 to 40 workers per location, and hiring will begin for each restaurant about a month before opening. So maybe you want a job, pieology.com. And the Great Pumpkin Patch Express is coming to St. Louis. Now, you remember the Christmas train This is kind of like the same thing, except for it's pumpkins. Now it's coming to Union Station on Saturday and Sunday, October 10th through November 1st. You're gonna be greeted by Snoopy and Lucy. They have photo opportunities with Snoopy and Lucy, pumpkin decorating, seasonal treats, and a lot of other activities. They really encourage you all to wear your costumes. You get on the train, you ride past Busch Stadium, the Gateway Arch, and the Mississippi River, and they're gonna have theme music and a special narration of the story. So if your kids really like, Halloween and pumpkins, stlpumpkinexpress.com. Operation Food Search is they're having their 35th year anniversary. And to celebrate, they're having an open house, October the 1st, from 11:30 to 7. There's free cooking demonstrations, tips for healthy cooking, food, and tours of the facility. You can also learn more about the organization's assisted programs, including No Kid Hungry, Operation Backpack, and Cooking Matters. The first 100 guests will get a free pop-up lunch by the Olive Garden, and they're gonna have an ice cream social from 5 to 7. Pancakes will be made by Dr. Dan, the Pancake Man, which I still think is the coolest name ever. And they're gonna have 90 days of giving. It's a holiday campaign. It's operationfoodsearch.org. All right, a day at the Confluence, a celebration of National Hunting and Fishing Day. Now this is cool, so if you have family, listen up. It's Saturday, September 26th from 10 to 3 at the Columbia Bottom Conservation Area in Spanish Lake. It's a free family event. Now they're gonna have guided riverboat rides, archery, how cool is that, archery, and rifle shooting. You can discover nature, learn about the fishing programs, plus they're gonna have a fried catfish sampling. That's mdc.mo.gov. Now, this is the really cool part of the show where I introduce my guest, and I actually know this guest. This is Darryn Yates of the Darryn Yates TV show. He is joining me now. Yay, I'm so happy you're here.
Hi, can we hug again or no?
We can hug again. Of course we can hug again.
Why not?
All right, Darryn, I know about you, but for somebody who doesn't know about you, let's first talk about your current project. You have a TV show on Charter. Just started, right?
The Darryn Yates Show.
Darryn Yates Show.
I know it's a very original name.
It is. If I ever had a show, though, I would call it the Angella Sharpe Show, so I think it works.
Well, I wanted to call the show Babes, Bands, and Buffoons, but a lot of people told me I shouldn't do that, so I changed it to just the Darryn Yates Show, because
do you have
you never know what's going to be on the Darryn Yates
Babes,
Show.
Bands, and Buffoons on your show?
Yes.
Okay, right on.
I do. I have them and tons of other stuff as well. So
all right, so this
you never know what's going to be on the show.
This you kind of shoot either on location in your house. We've got some footage of you up right now. What is that, your basement? I'm
Who's
taking
that dork? Same hat.
Same hat, everything. That's your trademark, huh?
Yeah, I guess it is. Actually, my true trademark is my sunglasses.
Oh.
But I feel like a cheese ball. Should I put them on or no?
No. We're not do that.
I'll be real with you guys.
Well, let's talk
Not that I'm
about.
not
You've
real.
been doing this kind of stuff for a long time.
Yes, I have.
So you've done radio, you've done TV in the past. You've covered a couple
I
shows.
sure have. You know what? It also the music bug bit me when I was 16, and I went out to LA and did On Tracy Lane. I toured. I lived in Los Angeles, San Diego, all over Southern California. Came home, went to Nashville, did a bunch of stuff in Nashville.
Favorite place in Nashville.
Came home again. I was gonna move to New York City at the end of 2009. I met a girl.
Oh, changes everything when you meet that girl.
Everything. So I thought, you know what? I guess I'm gonna stay here. So now that I'm not gonna move again, I want to give St. Louis what I think is missing, just a crazy variety show, underground entertainment show.
Well,
Has a
so
little bit of
let's talk a
everything.
little bit about
Yeah.
this show. What is the inspiration behind the show?
You know, I love hidden camera. I love live performances.
Yeah, we talked about this before. You really like the hidden camera.
I love doing crazy stuff, right? Right now I should do something really crazy, but I don't want to get kicked out. I've already been kicked off AM radio, so I don't want to get kicked off.
Well, yeah, let's wait till
STL
closer to
TV.
the end of the interview before you get kicked out.
But yeah, I love hidden camera. I love live performances, weird news, entertainment news. I love everything, so I want to throw it all on one show. And real quick, I started TV in 2012 with Charter. Hailstorm came through, stopped production. I started my podcast, web series. I got an offer for real radio, terrestrial radio. I did a morning drive radio show for a while.
Right.
And then some circumstances led to me getting kicked off AM radio.
Which, not a lot of people get to say they have been kicked off AM radio.
I know.
I think you have, and I think I have. So we're like,
Really?
We're like high-fiving.
Yes.
We're right in the same
Knuckles,
boat there.
high five,
So,
whatever,
right,
yeah.
We're there. We're there
Really?
on
You got
that.
kicked off AM radio?
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
So,
Well, I need a tan. Look at that.
well, that's just
Jeez.
comparatively.
Look at that.
So you cover everything. So is this someone like with ADD? That's the type of person who should watch your show?
A bug just flew by. Yes, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Because you've got everything different going on.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna happen.
There's not like a set.
There really isn't.
Storyline,
No,
right.
there really isn't. I mean, I do some of my lead-ins in the basement, so it's got a splash of Wayne's World. It's a little bit of Entertainment Tonight, a little bit of Saturday Night Live, a splash of Impractical Jokers. And yeah, my first episode, I interviewed the former guitar player of Guns N' Roses, Gilby Clarke.
Okay.
He's on episode 1, which ran the first 2 weeks of September, which people can check out on the YouTube page.
Okay, very cool.
So youtube.com, TMN, the Mayhem Network. That's the name of my production company. And my next episode is going to be, I'm having Tim McKernan on there.
Okay, right.
So it's VIPs, whoever I can get. Hey, if you're cool, you're fun, you're wacky, you're famous, you want to be on my show? You want to be on my show?
I'll be on your show, but let's tell people if you're fun, wacky, and famous and you want them on your show, how can they contact you?
The DarrynYatesShow.com. The Darryn Yates Show. There's Tim McKernan right there.
Yeah,
So
there he is.
the Darryn Yates Show on Facebook is the best way. There we go.
There you go. There's all his information
And
for the Darryn Yates TV
I
shows
might
up
get
there.
kicked off TV, so hurry up and get hold of me or follow me on Facebook. So
Right, you got to check it
Stay
out
in
now
touch.
because you don't know how long Darryn is going to stay on TV. Now,
Never know.
are you editing your own show? Or
Yes, you know what? The Mayhem Network that aired, it was called the Mayhem Network 3 years ago on Charter, before the Hailstorm stopped production.
Right.
That was edited by Jared McFarland, my business partner. But 3 years later, I'm taking another crack at TV, and I'm doing all the editing. About 95% of it. So.
Wow.
So I got a degree in communications, radio, film
Right.
production. But that was a long time ago, so it's a little different now in editing. So you know what I did? I taught myself how to edit on YouTube.
You watched
It's
all
amazing.
the YouTube tutorials
Yeah.
and then you taught yourself how to edit. That's
Green screen. I mean, you can learn all kinds of stuff.
shockingly
on
a lot of
YouTube.
people. You have a very sports-themed basement, I see.
Yeah, I am. Well, first of all, I'm really mad that I'm 5'8", 170. If I was 6'4", like something like this, I'd be playing football.
That would be what you're doing, playing football instead.
And I grew up total sports. I was a jock, total jock.
Right.
My dad was a football coach. I was a water boy for the
So
football
when did all
team.
this whole entertainment thing really get
Well,
you? Was it when you went to LA?
When I was 16, I got my first garage band. The bug bit me. So I've been an entertainer ever since. I mean, of course, I blew my knee out in softball a couple months ago. But so I'm a jock at heart, but I'm an entertainer outside.
Entertainment for all the.
Yeah.
So who, even speaking of your podcast or your radio show, who's been the most memorable guest you've had on?
Oh wow! I mean, well, Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses. That is probably the biggest name I've had. But I interviewed Jennifer Lynch, the director.
Yeah.
I've had on, all kinds of just interesting people. Who else? I mean, you have to go to the YouTube page and the Facebook page.
Yeah,
Look
check
at
it out,
Learn from KC95.
yeah.
She was on the show. Tim McKernan. I had an awesome interview with Tim McKernan
And that's
a
the
couple
one
weeks
that's
ago.
gonna be
It's
airing.
going to be on in a couple weeks.
All right. So
Yeah.
tell us, where can somebody find your show?
You know what? Well, it's every Thursday night, 11 p.m. Central Time, of course, on Charter, channel 198 in St. Louis. And 2 weeks after it airs on Charter, I'll put it up on the YouTube page.
Oh, very cool. So if you missed it,
So if you missed it-
you missed the Guns N' Roses one,
Yeah.
you can catch up on that.
Like I have a brand new show starting this coming Thursday, and it's a cool show. I got some. Actually, can I talk about a segment on my radio show?
Sure.
That involved prostitutes. Can I say
Well,
that?
let's skip
No?
away from that.
Okay, skip
If you
away
want
from that.
more on that, check out Darryn at his website. There's all
Yeah.
his information right there on your screen. He's got the YouTube, the Twitter, and the Facebook. You can find out all about whatever he was just going to talk about.
Am I kicked off STL TV?
Not quite yet, but you're getting there. You're getting there, buddy.
I'm used to it. I'm ready for it.
So thank you, Darryn, so much for coming. And make sure you check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, you can drop us a line right here at The Daily Mix. The Daily Mix at stltv.net. We want to hear from you. Like Darryn said, if you want to be on the show, have something cool to talk about, some stories going on, we want to hear about that. So let us know that. And then if you're super crazy, you can join Darryn on
Please.
Darryn's show.
Ideas for hidden camera, whatever. Ideas, please send
What is
them
the
to me.
weirdest hidden camera thing you've done?
Well, the weirdest thing I've done was, you know what? I have an alter ego, a character named Captain Chaos.
Right,
And I crashed.
yes.
I crashed a hardcore rugby match in Central Park, Forest Park, Central Park,
Oh.
in Forest Park, and got my butt beat. So that'll be on a future show.
So you have to watch that, so you
Yeah.
can watch him also get beat
Definitely.
up. That
Yeah.
is going to do it for the Daily Mix, but keep it right here on STL TV and Experience St. Louis. See you next time.